going to be an open discussion, and I guess most of you are already aware of how we do these calls, but a few people have joined for the first time. So, this is just going to be an open discussion where we share our perspectives with each other. So, there's no such thing like we're going to prove anything right or wrong, but we will just share our own experiential perspectives here, how what we have experienced or what we personally think. And that's how it is going to be. We are just, there's no debate or no such thing like this is right or wrong. So be open, and just whenever you feel like, unmute yourself, and you can add on to the conversation. So today's topic is going to be why I feel that just a moment, there's a lot of noise here. Okay, am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So today's topic is going to be why do I feel that my acts of love are never enough for my partner? So I hope all the people who are here and they can somewhere relate to this situation when we feel that no matter how much we try, it's like it's never good enough. It's never enough for our partners. So all of you are welcome to contribute and talk in this discussion. So anybody who wants to share their experience or has any question, so they can just unmute and talk. Sachin, before that, would you like to add anything?
Um, Nothing comes to my mind straight away. So, yes, so as Namika said, that we would like you to interact. And one thing which I have mentioned in past conversations also, that in case if you have no experience about this situation or you don't relate to it, then there is no need, there is no compulsion for you to interact, because we don't really want hypotheticals and theoretical things to be discussed over here, that this could be the reason, that could. So I want to make it more practical. I want to make it more like whatever is there. You can share your opinion if you want, but the thing is that if you have not experienced this situation before, if you don't know much about it, then even that opinion, I don't know what to make out of that opinion also. Because that way we can have opinions on pretty much everything, that how should Modi run the country, or how should this and that. So that opinion we can just keep sitting here and then keep talking. So let's hear more from those who, in some shape or form, when you feel that no matter how much you do, it's never good enough, or you don't receive the appreciation, you don't receive the recognition that you feel. And many a times, maybe another version of this is, to get the appreciation and recognition, you just go overboard. Um, so that is also things that people do. Whether you do it or not, that's a different thing, or whether you want to talk about it and be open about it, that is up to you. But that is another thing where people will go overboard just so that the other person notice them and the other person appreciate them and recognize them. So has that happened? Have you experienced that, and how was that experience? So let's just start with that as an opening thing. So anyone wants to take the mic and share what they feel about this?
So any of you, whosoever wants to go first, you can just unmute yourself and start talking.
Am I lost or no one is speaking?
I guess no one's speaking, Naveen. Right.
I think you guys are the better guys, I think, to just start and initiate something, so that people will pick up.
We have
Yeah.
already initiated. So
I mean, more into more, I think. I mean,
Okay.
it's gonna
I'll
be.
just simplify the question. That
Mm-hmm.
has any one of you? Is there anyone who feels in the group that maybe not right now in their lives, but they have experienced it in the past that, or maybe even right now, you feel that you are trying to do things for your partner and you're trying to show as much love as possible in the way you understand it, and but they feel that they are just the same, or they are not appreciating it, or they are not responding to it. It's not touching them the way you are doing things. So is there anybody in the group who feels that way? Because if none of us feel that way, if we all are appreciated, then
You know,
I mean,
uh,
yeah,
I
Vikesh.
will give you my experience of yesterday. I made a call to my wife every evening and now and then. Yesterday also I made a call to her. तो सब बात हुई ईच एंड ये है घर है वो है एंड बोली यू आर नॉट रोमांटिक रोमांटिक बात करो मैंने बोला
okay.
ये कैसे करते हैं ये कैसे ये क्या होता मिस कैसे बोलूं मैं क्या कैसे मिस मैं ब्लैंक था मतलब आप बोलो मैं कुछ बोलूंगा फिर उसमें मिस मैं क्या बोलूं मेरे पास जवाब नहीं था um, she expects me to be miss in that word or something like that but for me I don't think so I can be with my wife now, right after so many years.
Uh,
Yes. Vidya, you raised your hand. You want to say something?
I think I would rather say that it's the same experience from both the sides. It's not just me feeling it. I think I sometimes feel that it's the same feeling from my partner's side as well. That probably he tries to show the way he thinks perfection can be shown, and I kind of don't really reciprocate and probably think that it's not as per what I need, and vice versa. It's the same thing when I show, okay, it's the other person feels that it is not as per the way that they have kind of created that frame or something, or the way they expect. So when both the sides, it's the same thing. So this is a situation. How do you kind of overcome that? And then in that case, and the end result is because the cold war, nobody talks to each other.
Great, great, wonderful. That's very good. I'm glad Vidya and Vikesh, you have shared very good points, and it actually quite links to what we want to talk about today as well. So that's great. That's wonderful. So yes, Anamika is going to share something on that, but let's hear more from others as well. What is your experience? I think Yogita was going to say. Yogita, were you trying to say something? Or she's dropped out. Okay.
Hello, Sachin.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, Himanshu, go ahead.
Hi, this is Himanshu. Actually, I'm not yet married, so ऐसा कुछ मतलब बहुत personal experience नहीं है, but I have had one relationship in the past, and also I've been a little bit observant.
That's
Hello.
okay. It doesn't have to be married. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It doesn't have
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
married. As long as you have experience in a
Mhm.
relationship, that's what matters. Yeah, nothing to
But
do with
the thing
marriage.
is, I mean, I have been a bit observant in the relationships around me. I mean, how people deal with each other. I've been quite observant and all that. So one major issue that I have seen a lot of, I mean, people don't usually take time to talk to each other very regularly to discuss their feelings and I mean, they interact for daily, I mean, for solving daily issues. I mean, they do all those interactions, but they don't sit around to just to listen to each other very well. So that creates an expectation gap, I guess.
Right, right. So communication is not very clear between them.
Yeah.
And so that's a good point. Let's just take this point forward, and it is not just a point for you to answer. Like, like I keep saying, this is an open discussion, so it's not that me and Himanshu are only having this discussion, but he said something.
Another thing that I have observed is, I mean, people don't have common goals. They are either rushing towards their personal interests, or I mean they try to just keep themselves busy in whatever the routine or whatever things they have. So when people have common goals in a relationship, that sort of keep them close and keep them quite involved with each other. I mean, the bond gets a bit stronger, I guess, compared to what because initially, if there is a relationship, gradually over time, people lose interest, or maybe because of increasing responsibilities and a lot of stress these days. So maybe, common goals are important. That's what I mean to say.
Okay, good points. Both of them are very good points, what you said. So one question that comes to my mind, uh, okay, I'll ask the question and then I'll come to you, Hema. I see that you have your hand up. Otherwise, I'll forget the question. So the question is that um, initially, when two people come together, their communication must have been good only and all that. So what happened that over time, why communication becomes an issue for two people to start fading away from each other? It wasn't an issue before.
I think maybe they might not have been very interactive initially. I mean, they must not have exposed all parts of their personality to the other person. So the other person might be getting some sort of shocks after getting married or something. So things should have been made clear before. Gradually it becomes gradually clear, obviously, but clear, transparent communication is important, I guess.
Now that is fine, Imanshu, what you're trying to say. But most people, when they get married or even get into a relationship, the first thing is that they get into that relationship is because there is some or the other kind of connection they feel with each other, some resonance they feel with each other. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gotten attracted to each other already, right? So that is the first thing. Yeah, what you're saying is possible, but that is a very not a very common case, because that can happen in maybe arranged marriages or like anything like that. But in most cases, they are already there and it fades away. And actually, it fades away in most of the cases between most couples. And this is very common. I mean, we can just go on observing any couple around us who have been married for, like, let's say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years. This becomes a very common thing. And the way we live in the society, we kind of go with an acceptance ki ha ye to hoga hi, and hoga hi, right? It is natural that people feel that life is monotonous after a certain point of time. But the question is that right now in the group, the question is, why does that happen? And Vidya said that people feel they are taken for granted, which is absolutely one of the most important reasons. Could be other reasons. uh, First thing is that, and the second thing, why it happens, and then, is it not our responsibility of two people, both of them, to bring the charm back and maintain it, because we are humans. Okay, and when we don't see new things, it is pretty natural to, like, for things to get monotonous. But isn't it possible that if both of them take little bit of responsibility, that we will maintain the relationship in a healthy fashion, rather than letting it, acha stale ho raha hai relationship to hone dete hain. Not like that, but little. So that is something I wanted to add.
the fundamental thing is, there must be enough amount of mutual respect for the relationship in both the persons. I mean, they must have, even if the other person is responding in a negative or in a very negative way, basically. So the other person must be able to sense they must be able to understand each other very well, at the emotional level, at the psychological level. So one needs to be. I mean, one person has to just keep giving, uh, keep adding more value to the relationship for some time, and I think if one does that for a certain amount of time, things will have. I mean, if the other person actually cares, he will respond back. Maybe some people take some more time, some takes a little less time, but things will work, I guess.
Yeah,
Hema's
we'll talk about that.
time.
Yeah,
Can you
Hema. Yeah.
can you yeah, Hema, can you please say Hema and then Vidya? So Hema, go ahead.
Yeah, basically, two people have different priorities, right? So, say for my husband, it could be money. For me, it could be the quality time, or I want to spend time with the family, with the kids. So when I do things for the family, sometimes he doesn't really appreciate it. So that kind of doesn't go well between us. So the same thing, he does something outside and he expects me to appreciate him. So I'm like, hey, you didn't appreciate my efforts, so I do not appreciate you. So it kind of when both of us are not ready to spend time and talk with each other, these differences will slowly creep in, and before there is a bigger crack in the relationship.
Yeah. Very good.
And one more thing, Himanshu said, people will, one person needs to keep giving and the other person will slowly fall. And I think that is never going to happen, because the person is going to keep giving, the other person is going to get used to the other person keep giving, that, they didn't even realize, that they're being unfair in the relationship. Unless you speak about it and talk about it, the other person is never going to understand, what they're putting their partner in.
No, for giving also, there must be a certain minimum mutual respect for the relationship in both the persons. That's what I feel. So unless the other person respects or care about your relationship, then irrespective of how much you keep on giving, it won't work.
That's there. I agree. You need to have mutual respect more than the love. I feel the respect is very, very important for a marriage to survive. So.
Yes, I guess Hema, you are trying to point towards, setting healthy boundaries, which is extremely, I cannot emphasize that enough, extremely important in the case of, if you want to run a long-term relationship with somebody, because it has to be, a very healthy amount of give and take.
And
Vidya?
one thing also, I feel men are generally emotionally less aware of what they're causing to the other person when compared to women. So somewhere there is an imbalance there itself. Unless someone is going to be self-aware and want to really bring fairness to the relationship.
Yeah.
It kind of otherwise the relationship goes for a toss.
True.
Let's hear Vidya as well. Vidya, your hand is up. You still want to say something, or is it by mistake?
Hi, I'm sorry, I probably missed a little conversation. I got a call. But I just wanted to, whatever I heard about a little bit of Himanshu and Hema part, that as she said, it's like we are not aware about if a one person keep on giving and keep on continuously giving around, we don't know how much is enough. So this is my personal experience. I feel like this generation, the generation which we are going through, that there is a lack of empathy. I mean, it was a time when a first relationship we get into, we do so much for that person, both the way, to keep each other happy and sharing love and all those little surprises and all. By the time, if suppose that first relationship didn't work out and we moved out to second relationship, our emotion get little low down. And even though, especially with the men, the things they have done for a first girlfriend or a wife or whatsoever it is, they don't feel the same kind of flow with other person. And the more people have experienced the relationship with 2 3 people, the lesser their emotions are attached with the person to whom they are getting married, or with the current girlfriend and all. So uh, so I, I personally feel like how much is enough. I mean, with the way, like, current generation where like people, girlfriend, boyfriends, or relationship are readily available. I mean, I personally experienced people, they don't want a longer term long relationship or emotionally attached, or just they want for short time. And eventually, if you do certain thing for people, they feel like, okay, what's a big deal? I mean, these are small stuff. So I don't know how much is enough, and till what extent person should really keep doing it, and if the person is not receiving an other end.
That's a very good question that you have asked. Although it's a little bit different to this, but I think it's still linked to what you're talking about. So this thing that you have one relationship and then you have bad experience from that relationship, and then you move to the next one and you take these experiences and project it out on the other person in the name of experience, in the name of learning, in the name of that, because I have been through this, then you think that you are wiser now in some way, shape or form. In our coaching language, we call these things wounds, and we've talked about that in our group a lot. Even released a short video on it as well. So before we go into another relationship, once we are done with one, before going to the other relationship, it is always a good idea to give it a little time gap in between, and uh, become aware of those wounds that have got created in this whole thing, and heal them first. Because until we heal them, there is no learning. What we are calling is not so much of learning, it is more of a fear based lesson that you have got, and you are only going to project it out on the other person. And the drawback of that is exactly what you are describing, is you will become less and less connected with the other person, because you will feel that although the need is there to have a partner, to have a connection, on one side that need is there, and on the other side that fear to open up with the other person is also there, because we have got hurt before. And these two things, when they are coexisting, that the need to connect with the other person as well as the need to keep ourselves closed because we have got hurt before, when these two things coexist, it's basically just screw up the person. So this is just going to be a messy kind of a situation. And imagine one person doing it. Imagine the other person also coming from the similar background. They also come from one or two broken relationship. When two people come together in such a kind of a situation, none of them are healed. Both of them needing a connection, and both of them not opening up. It creates a very messy codependency. So this is a very practical situation and practical problem that you are describing. So definitely there is no love, as so to speak. There may be love. I'm not saying this. They may not be love existing between those two people, but definitely they will be very cautious in how they express it, and they will be very close with each other. So by the time they start opening up, or they feel that they can now open up with the other person, maybe the time will run out and they will both be not interested in each other anymore. So by the time you open up, the other person is not even interested anymore. So that's what I would say to your question, that there is definitely a need to heal from this. So just after you come out from an accident, you just don't look forward to another accident from the next day. So you
Yeah,
need
that's
to.
true. But I feel like in life we experience so many things. I mean, learning though is never ending. I mean, today morning only I was thinking, like, so much of content in this world is everyone writing, everyone is like
Yogita,
experiencing, sharing so many things. I mean, like, learning doesn't have an end. But my question and my worry was today, like, I was actually thinking in the morning. you've experienced certain trauma in the past, but that doesn't mean that same thing other person may, will take you through. I mean, we carry forward the same thing. We all are in chain actually. If I've been
Yogita,
hurted by someone and the same,
hello.
by thinking, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Yogita, just 1 minute. I just wanted to stop you for a minute over there because I
Sure.
think you misheard what I said. I did not say learn. I said heal.
Yeah,
I didn't. So
okay,
I
yeah, I
think
thought like learning. Correct. I mean,
no, no,
use that's make a word like, yeah, healing is important. I mean, very important.
that, but we cannot use the same word and still mean the same thing. So what I'm saying is healing is a process of doing something. Learning, I am not talking about learning. As you're saying, there's a lot of content in the world. Learning means nothing to me. I don't really care what all content is available in this world. Healing and learning are very two different things. I'm not talking about learning. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about sitting with that situation and healing through it before becoming ready to jump into the next accident. So
Yeah.
that is the
But
point which
healing
I was.
can be with other relation also. Like suppose you have someone wounded a bad
No,
relationship and you
no,
moved out
no,
to certain other relationship. That can be done with that relationship healing.
no. Healing cannot be done with another relationship. A part of healing, definitely. Uh, so the healing process will complete with the other person. Yes, that I agree. But let's say, for example, you you were in a relationship with someone and something happened and it didn't go through. So, a part of that healing process, you have to spend time all by yourself to heal, but definitely to test it. Definitely to test that now is that situation going to trigger you again or not. You need another person, so you need to test it out with partner. So the process will not complete without the partner, but to think that you will heal with the partner, that is just a cliche. That doesn't happen. The other person is also suffering. They don't even know what support are they going to provide you. They don't even know how to deal with their own situation. So until you learn how to
No,
deal with your
and one thing, I'm sorry to yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you in between, Sachin, but I mean, it's pretty simple as I have experienced it that nobody in this whole world can help you. No relationship, nothing can help you if you are not helping yourself.
But
So
Anamika, I
it's
wanted to understand healing. So as we talk about healing, I mean, this have never ending. I mean, you don't know when you're gonna heal about that
no,
thing,
no,
is
no,
it
no,
right?
no. It's healing is a never ending process. It's not gonna end. But it's like there are different levels of healing, okay, and there are different once you we will, I mean, I can go on explaining on what levels are there, but that is not important right now. I mean, at least abhi, right now, what you see in yourself, your emotions, your situations, your
Mhm.
thoughts, what you're going through, what is important for every person is, are we ready to heal that? Because healing is a never ending journey. आप एक चीज heal करोगे, it's like onion, will keep peeling off the layers, it will keep coming up forever. Okay, we don't know
Mhm.
कि वो कब खत्म होगा,
can I
when
can
we
I
get enlightened.
can I just
Please,
add
Sachin.
one thing to this that see I still feel that Yogita is, although using the word healing, she is still actually in her mind thinking learning. So Yogita, healing is not an ongoing process. जो प्रॉब्लम है वो तो सॉल्व होगी ना आपकी, आगे लाइफ में और प्रॉब्लम आएंगी. इट्स लाइक कि जैसे आपको आज बुखार आया है, आपने बुखार के लिए दवाई ली है, तो क्या आप लाइफ भर के लिए बुखार से फ्री हो गई क्या? आज के लिए तो हो गई ना.
नहीं नहीं, सचिन, मेरा क्वेश्चन ये था कि हीलिंग कैसा होता है ना, कि हीलिंग को ये नहीं कि एक दिन, 2 दिन या 1 महीने, 2 महीने, आपको पता नहीं कब तक रहेगा वो. आप कितना सरेंडर करेंगे और कितना प्रोसेस में रहोगे, डिपेंड्स. लाइक अगर मैंने 1 साल पहले किसी चीज पे, या सपोज आई फेल्ट लाइक टुडे इटसेल्फ कि आज यार दिस इज समथिंग आई अंडरस्टैंड माय पैटर्न लिटिल बिट, और अगर मैं उससे वर्क करी तो मुझे नहीं पता कि ये जो डीप रूटेड वूंड है वो कब तक, I mean, like, how much time I'm gonna take and how much I will allow that thing. Sometimes the
हाँ.
traumatic
तो
experience really come up so hard and you don't know how to process with that. तो ये
डी
healing
आई
का. हम्म.
DIY करोगे तो आपको नहीं पता चलेगा. दैट इज ट्रू. सो दिस इज व्हाई यू नीड टू टेक हेल्प फ्रॉम द राइट काइंड ऑफ पीपल. डीआईवाई करोगे तो कभी नहीं पता चलेगा. वो तो ऐसे है कि आप डॉक्टरी पढ़ भी रहे हो और अपने ऊपर सर्जरी भी कर रहे हो. तो एक्सपीरियंस का कुछ तो वैल्यू होती है ना, कि जिसको कोई एक्सपीरियंस होगा आपको कराने के लिए. हाँ, आपको कोई ये नहीं बता सकता कि कितने टाइम में आप हील हो जाओगी, बट वन
Yeah.
थिंग इज फॉर कि वो टाइम बाउंड तो होगा. इट इज नॉट गोइंग टू बी फॉर एवर. आप प्रोसेस को कमिट की तो वो 1 वीक में होगा, 3 महीने में होगा, या 1 साल में होगा, बट वो होगा तो. पर आप
बट ये शायद ट्रिगर्ड भी हो सकता है ना, लाइक अगर ये मैं इल्यूजन में हूँ कि ये मेरा दिस पार्ट हैज बीन हील्ड एंड आई एम कम अप विद दैट, इट कैन बी राइट, कैन बी अ पॉसिबिलिटी कि शायद वो 2 साल या 3 साल बाद वापस ट्रिगर्ड हो मुझे. कैन बी, मतलब ये भी होता है.
फिर तो हील नहीं हुआ ना वो. फिर तो हील नहीं हुआ ना. आपने
सो कैसे पता चलेगा कि वो हील हो चुका है? बिकॉज दिस व्हाट आई हैव एक्सपीरियंस. मुझे 1 साल पहले कुछ लगा था कि आई हैव बीन हील्ड बाय दिस, but it got triggered after a year, like with a very might be like I got aware about it कि okay it triggered me, but it triggered. तो मतलब that is not being healed yet.
हाँ, तो योगिता ध्यान से सुनो भी तो. मैंने आंसर ऑलरेडी दिया है आपको इस चीज का. आप सुन नहीं रहे हो. आई एम सेइंग कि आप नहीं पता लगा सकते कि आप हुए हो. आप खुद का इलाज करते करते, क्योंकि आपको नहीं मालूम है कि इसका एंड क्या है, ये आपको किसी और से ही कराना पड़ेगा. यू कैन नॉट. अगर आप अपना खुद का आंसर ही खुद ही दे रहे हो और फिर कंफ्यूज भी हो रहे हो, तो यू आर सेइंग दिस कि मैंने अपनी हीलिंग की बट वो हुई नहीं, तो मुझे कैसे पता चलेगा. आप अपनी हीलिंग कर ही नहीं सकते हो, आप बता ही नहीं सकते हो. देयर हैज टू बी अनदर पर्सन हु हैज टू ऑब्जर्व यू एंड टेल यू कि यहाँ पहुंच के मालूम पड़ेगा कि होगा या नहीं होगा. तो खुद ही अपना ऑपरेशन जाओगे तो थोड़ी ये पता चलेगा, नहीं पता चलेगा. सो ये तो आप अपनी बात खुद ही बोले जा रहे हो. तो सुनो तो सही क्या बोल रहे हो. आई एम ऑल्सो सेइंग द सेम थिंग. यू हैव टू रिलाई ऑन एन एक्सपर्ट फॉर दिस थिंग टू से आप बताओ मेरे को कि जब मैं हील हो जाऊंगी तो कैसा दिखेगा, क्या होगा, व्हाट वुड बी, हाउ वुड इट लुक लाइक, एंड हाउ वुड आई नो दैट आई हैव हील्ड. जो लोग ये काम करते हैं वो लोग आपको बता सकते हैं ना कि जब आप हील हो जाते हो तो ऐसा होता है. आपको कैसे, आपको खुद थोड़ी पता चलेगा. यू आर नॉट दैट एक्सपर्ट ना. आप so that's what I can say कि
Yeah, guys, actually we are deviating from the topic of it. Yogita, this is a topic in itself, okay, and इस पे हम जा सकते हैं. We can talk about it. We can get at least get a basic understanding of what it means and how do we know that when we are healed. And I mean I have observed in myself, and I can actually give you a very specific things which you can observe yourself when you are healed and when you're not healed. We can talk about that. There's a lot to add, but let's not deviate from the topic and let's come back, because this is
topic on this one, because this is a little bit of deviation from today's topic, definitely.
Yeah.
But
Sure,
it's an important.
Thank you, Sachin. I mean,
we will talk about it.
Yeah, sure. Thank you,
we will
Sachin.
talk about it.
May I add something?
Hello. Yeah, you should go ahead.
So, after listening to all this conversation, एक चीज मैंने ऑब्जर्व की थी कि हम लोग थोड़ा ज्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेट कर देते हैं चीजों को. वो मैं मतलब हीलिंग किस चीज की, हीलिंग इज ऑफ द वुंड्स, और वुंड्स को हील करने के लिए पहले हमको उनको देखना पड़ेगा ना. सो वी हैव टू कॉन्स्टेंटली डू अ सेल्फ एनालिसिस. मतलब अपने लेवल पे तो ये कर सकते हैं. और कमिंग बैक टू द टॉपिक ऑफ द डिस्कशन, व्हाट आई फील इज, मतलब आपने सबने कोटेशन में भी सुनी हो कि the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. You can't be two different persons in your office, in your outer world and in your personal life. आप अगर अपने ऑफिस में अपने वर्क स्पेस में अगर आप अप्रिशिएटिव हो, अगर वहां पे आप कोलैबोरेटिव हो, अगर वहां पे आप दूसरों को सपोर्ट करते हो, then you will automatically behave the same to some extent. So basically what we have to work upon is observe ourselves, our daily activities, how we behave to people, our own behavior, and accordingly we need to, when we start appreciating people on in our workspace, we will definitely add I mean ये सब और we will also acknowledge भी करेंगे और appreciate भी करेंगे मतलब that's what I will push to add. Thank you.
Sure, sure. Thanks, Himanshu. That's quite true. Yeah, I agree with that. Vidya, was your hand? Hema, I thought your hand was up. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, actually, like, because you're talking about healing, I just wanted to know if you can stay in the same relationship where, like, it's traumatizing and still, like, heal. But Anamika said, like, we're not talking about healing now. That's why, like, I lowered my hand.
Okay. Yeah,
we will definitely bring this topic. I mean, we will talk about it.
Yeah.
One more thing, like, there's one person in the relationship who's really, like, unempathetic to the other person and who's a bit cold, okay? The other person is like a warm person. So the communication, everything becomes like really difficult, like, because the cold person cannot perceive beyond his thoughts about, like, what it is for the other person. So how do we, like, bring about some understanding and communication in such relationships?
Yeah, I think Anamika, that we should bring the topic back to this one. So you were going to talk about the love languages. I think this is the time where Vikesh mentioned,
Right.
and Vidya also mentioned it. Like Vikesh wanted to know how to be more romantic and all that. So I think
Sir, it's not necessarily romantic. It is more about bringing in some understanding and, like, a deeper level of it's basically, I feel like relationship also superficial, right? Like, we don't connect in a deeper level. So
for you, Hannah, that is for you, but Vikesh very specifically mentioned.
sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody in the call has different needs, no? But
No, what you're saying, no, Hema, that developing that deeper level of connection. When you want to actually connect to your partner, you want to feel what they feel, you want to actually understand. In fact, you just use the word key feeling and all. Leave that aside. I mean, that's far fetched, but at least understanding so that two people can be on the same page. Although this is a long thing to deal with, but we wanted to discuss today a little bit about love languages. Now, the thing is that all of us are different and unique, and we all understand that, but we understand that at a superficial level. We forget this, we don't understand this at a very deeper level, with acceptance that, the other person is different. So I'm not invalidating what you're saying right now. That is true, and that requires much more bigger understanding than just love languages. But this can be a very good starting point for at least, because if two people are trying to, bring harmony in the relationship, this can be a good starting point. So this is just the beginning I'm talking about. Now, each of us are unique, but at the surface level, we don't actually accept that fact that the other person is maybe communicating in just a different language. Because let's suppose I am a monkey and you are tiger. Okay, and let's suppose we have very different ways of living. It doesn't make the monkey right or wrong, or it doesn't make the tiger right or wrong. It's just that they're just speaking. Or maybe I'm French and I meet a Hindi person, a Hindi talking person. He doesn't understand what I'm saying, and I don't understand and we both love each other, and we are just trying to say things to each other. But I mean, where's the understanding? How do we understand? So in case of love languages, this is not just about the language per se, like Hindi, English, or anything. This is about how we are innately. Some things are innately given to us, dominant to us. Now, when people are different, so there's always a possibility that one person is communicating, like taking Vikesh's example. It's very apt. The female feeling that, I don't, can you talk in a romantic fashion? Now, Vikesh is just like unable to understand what does that even mean. He's not even able to comprehend what she's trying to mean. right? So it is important that first we have to bring awareness that we are just speaking different languages. Just now, the thing is, the problem is that we see the whole world through our own lenses. We want everyone else to behave and just this talk to us in the same way. We talk to them, but we have to understand that are they even able to interpret and understand what we are asking for? So that is why we are going to launch this course called uh, aligning love languages, bringing intimacy in relationships, aligning love languages. There's also a possibility that these needs could be coming from, your traumas or wounds or from much deeper issues. We can talk about that always later when we start digging deeper and bringing awareness. But before that, at least this is a good point where you can start. So ऐसा हो रहा है that there are two people, I'm speaking a different language and I want the other to speak to me in my language, but I'm not understanding that I'm also not communicating to them in their language, right? So there's a big hustle going on, and after a certain point of time you just give up because it's like you've tried enough, but वो हो ही नहीं रहा है. It's just not happening, right? So that is one thing. Another thing which I guess Vidya pointed out, or somebody said, that taken for granted. Vidya used a good example. In long-term relationships, we see that they get like really monotonous, and the reason why they get monotonous is, in most of the cases, is one or both of the partners start taking the other for granted. And in most of the cases it happens when one person is an overgiver and the other person is not reciprocating in the same way. So there's not a healthy circle of giving and receiving in the relationship. One person is giving incessantly and the other person does not care because that person has taken the other person for granted. That is why there's another course which is available, which we created on how to deal with this, how to stop getting taken for granted. Another course which we'll be launching in future, which is specific to setting healthy boundaries. So these are the few things we wanted to let you all know regarding this particular problem. Now, there are more things. There are more things like wounds, which I talked about. So there's another course which we'll be doing on attachment styles. And it is like, these are the first stones of building your relationships. But when you're going deeper into your journey of awareness, it is important to understand where your needs are coming from, right? So that is another thing. That's what I wanted to share with all of you, that this could be not necessarily.
Hello, Anamika.
Yes, please, Sachin.
You also touch upon the love languages a little bit. So I think the answer, I feel Vikesh's answer is not really fully addressed. So just maybe the 5 different types that you just showcase, like what exactly is the disconnect here. So can you just explain that a little bit? I feel that little bit more explanation is required to fully understand the
Sure.
problem.
You're asking me, right?
I'm asking you. Yeah.
Right.
Need
Just to confirm once with Vikesh. Vikesh, are you listening to this? Can you just confirm once?
Yeah, I'm listening to it.
Great. So basically, Vikesh, I'll just
I'm listening to it.
Yeah, I'll just brief in like short. There are 5 different kind of love languages. It's not like we all have just one love language. We speak all 5, all of us, but we have a dominant love language in which is our natural way of giving and receiving love in a relationship. So there's a possibility that just a possibility that you and your wife might be speaking different love languages because I'll just tell the name of those 5. First is,
like,
yeah. So the first one is words of affirmation, in which people who speak this language, they like to listen to they like to be appreciated, they like to be praised. And then another is acts of service. People who speak this language, they would really appreciate if their partner does something for them, some task, some work, some activity. Then the third one is spending quality time. So that
Yeah.
is self-explanatory. Yeah, quality time. And then the fourth one is gifts, receiving. Yes, receiving and giving gifts. And the fifth one is physical touch. So physical touch, people would prefer expressing their love through hugs and cuddles and kisses and sex or whatever. So these are basically the 5 love languages. Now, for a person, let's suppose, who has a love language of giving and receiving gifts, that sometimes it becomes really hard for them to even understand, a partner maybe whose love language is quality time, what they're trying to express. Because you are, let's suppose, giving them like plenty of gifts, okay, and you feel that you have done so much for them, and you're not receiving gifts, and you'll be like, oh shit, my partner does nothing for me. Yeah. But the other person is feeling, what would I do with these gifts? What do I do with these gifts? I want quality time. My partner doesn't sit for me, gives me undivided attention even for 10 minutes. So at a basic
not appreciating
level,
always.
this could be a problem. Yes. बिकॉज वो हम अप्रिशिएट करेंगे भी कैसे ना, वो इसके लिए क्योंकि वो फैकल्टी ही नहीं है हमारे पास, हमें और कोई लैंग्वेज आती नहीं है, हमने सीखी नहीं कोई और लैंग्वेज, हमें तो सिर्फ अपनी लैंग्वेज आती है ना. सो हम दैट इज हाउ वी एक्सप्रेस एंड वी वांट द अदर आल्सो टू एक्सप्रेस. प्लीज.
हमें क्या लगता है कि हम अपनी ड्यूटी पूरी कर रहे हैं, वो उससे बड़ा लव क्या हो सकता है. बट उनके लिए ये नहीं, वो ड्यूटी से भी बहुत कुछ होता है, कि ड्यूटी से भी और कुछ अलग होता है. फॉर एक्सक्लूसिव फॉर हर ओनली, जो सबके लिए करते हैं वो तो सभी करते हैं, बट मेरे लिए क्या एक्सक्लूसिव किया, वो दैट इज इम्पोर्टेंट.
दैट मीन्स एग्जैक्टली जो अनामिका बोल रही है, तो आपके लिए क्या हो सकता है कि आपकी लव लैंग्वेज यहाँ पे सर्विस हो सकती है. तो आपके लिए ड्यूटी और रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इज़ अ वे टू एक्सप्रेस लव. तो आपको लगता है कि अगर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी और ड्यूटी से अगर आगे बढ़ा जाए तो दैट इज़ हाउ यू आर शोइंग लव. तो ये आपके लिए इम्पोर्टेंट है, ठीक है. आपकी ज़रूरी नहीं है कि आपकी वाइफ के लिए भी यही चीज़ इम्पोर्टेंट हो. इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि वो उसको अप्रिशिएट नहीं करती है, बट वो उसके लिए अलग है. उसके लिए वो जो उसको चाहिए वो नहीं मिल रहा है, आप उसको वो दे रहे हो जो आपको. तो दिस इज द बिगेस्ट रीज़न जो हमारा आज का टॉपिक है. इट डजंट फील एनफ कि आप कितना भी करते रहो, आपको ऐसे लगेगा कि वो कभी खुशी नहीं होते. तो वो क्योंकि आप उनको वो दे ही नहीं रहे हो जो उनको चाहिए, आप उनको वो दे रहे हो जो आपको अच्छा लगता है देना या लेना. तो इसमें क्या है कि आप देते जाओगे, लेकिन दूसरों के लिए ऐसा नहीं कि वैल्यू नहीं है, दे वैल्यू इट, बट उनको अपनी मनपसंद का नहीं मिल रहा है. समझे आपको, जैसे
बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं.
मेरे को कोई सर्टन डिश पसंद है, मेरे को सर्टन डिश पसंद है खाने की, और आपको दूसरी डिश पसंद है, कोई और डिश पसंद है. तो आप हमेशा जब भी अपने लिए लेके आते हो तो मेरे लिए भी लेके आते हो. तो आपको ऐसा लगता है कि मैं तो जब भी लेके आता हूँ मैं इनके लिए भी लेके आता हूँ, लेकिन ये खुश क्यों नहीं होते. तो आप ला रहे हो, मैं ले रहा हूँ, इट्स फाइन, लेकिन आपने कभी मेरी मनपसंद की डिश तो लाई नहीं ना. आप अपनी तरफ से ला के दिए जा रहे हो और आपको लग रहा है कि मैं इस पे खुश भी हो जाऊंगा. तो यहाँ पे ये डिस्कनेक्ट है. हाँ, यू आर थिंकिंग यू आर डूइंग एनफ, क्योंकि ये आपके लिए इम्पोर्टेंट है कि ड्यूटी से करना है, रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी से करना है. तो ये आपके लिए, ये सर्विस वाली लैंग्वेज आपकी है, उनकी नहीं होगी. तो यही सबसे बड़ा डिस्कनेक्ट है. यही तो कोर पॉइंट है आपकी.
That's why I have
ये
attended this
जानना
session for love science. That's why.
हाँ, क्योंकि जब हम ये चीज़ जान जाते हैं ना कि व्हाट इज़ इम्पोर्टेंट टू अस एंड व्हाट इज़ इम्पोर्टेंट टू माय पार्टनर, तो हम इस चीज़ को उनको साथ कम्युनिकेट कर सकते हैं, उनके साथ हम समझ सकते हैं कि ये तो मेरी नीड है, ये तो मैं चाहता हूँ कि ऐसा हो. और इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि दूसरा उस चीज़ को डिवैल्यू कर रहा है या समझ नहीं रहा है उसकी वैल्यू, बट कहीं ना कहीं उनको ये लग रहा है कि पर ये डिश मेरी तो पसंद की नहीं है, आपकी पसंद की है, तो आप मेरे को बार बार देते रहते हो. तो इससे आपको सेटिस्फेक्शन मिलती है, लेकिन मुझे तो नहीं मिलती है. कभी मेरे मनपसंद की, साल में एक बार मेरे मनपसंद की डिश भी दे दिया करो. पर आपको लग रहा है कि मैं तो कितनी बार, मैं तो जब भी जाता हूँ मैं ये डिश आपको हमेशा गिफ्ट करता हूँ, तो आप अभी भी खुश नहीं हो, तो कैसे खुश होंगे वो?
नहीं, सही कह रहे हैं, बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं।
Sachin,
उनके
I think the
उनके लिए
disconnect is
सही
because uh, hello.
हाँ हिमांशु,
हम्म,
यस।
मेरे हिसाब से, मेरे ख्याल से मतलब वो डिस्कनेक्ट बेसिकली इसलिए है ना, क्योंकि लाइक आई सेड इन माय इनिशियल कमेंट कि मतलब अंडरस्टैंडिंग नहीं है ना, वी डोंट हैव इनफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द अदर पर्सन, और हम लोग की और मतलब प्रॉपर कम्युनिकेशन भी नहीं है। एक व्हाट आई सेड अर्लियर कि अगर इफ दे मतलब उनका रेगुलर कम्युनिकेशन अच्छा होगा, मतलब तो ऑब्वियसली उनको बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग होगी रिगार्डिंग द अदर पर्सन्स करंट मेंटल स्टेटस
सो
और
हाँ,
एंड देयर पेरेंट्स।
एक पॉइंट मैं बोलना चाहता हूँ इसके ऊपर कि आपने जो ये बोला है ना, अंडरस्टैंडिंग और कम्युनिकेशन, ये तो बिल्कुल सही है। देर इज़ नो डाउट अबाउट दैट। आपने जो बात बोली है वो सही है, जो आपने इनिशियली बोले थे कमेंट वो सही है। लेकिन अब हम ना थोड़ा सा और स्पेसिफिक की तरफ जा रहे हैं। तो कभी कभी ना हमको ये मालूम रहता है कि अंडरस्टैंडिंग होनी चाहिए, ये होनी चाहिए, ये ऐसे कॉमन सेंस से भी मालूम रहती हैं ये सब चीज़ें, कि ऐसा नहीं है कि ऐसा लोगों को मालूम नहीं होता है, लेकिन फिर भी
नहीं,
उनको
आप ये कहते हैं कि मे बी हम कुछ और उनको दे रहे हैं और वो कुछ और एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं, तो वो हम कनेक्ट नहीं कर पा रहे ना एग्जैक्टली उनको क्या, व्हाट डू दे नीड एग्जैक्टली।
हाँ
और वो इसी से हो रहा है ना, क्योंकि
हाँ
कहीं ना कहीं अंडरस्टैंडिंग गैप है या कम्युनिकेशन गैप है।
हाँ, वो है, वो सही है, वो है। अब जैसे आज विकेश ने भी एग्जाम्पल लिया कि कम्युनिकेशन तो उसकी और उसकी वाइफ के बीच में हो रहा है ना, लैक ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन इज नॉट द इशू हियर। द वाइफ इज ऑल्सो टेलिंग हिम यू आर नॉट बीइंग रोमांटिक एंड ऑल दैट। कम्युनिकेशन तो हो रहा है। कहाँ पे गैप है कि ही इज़ नॉट एबल टू एक्सप्रेस, कि गैप आ कहाँ पे रहा है। तो हर चीज़ सिर्फ अंडरस्टैंडिंग और कम्युनिकेशन की बात नहीं होती है। कई बार हमारे पास लैंग्वेज नहीं होती है अपनी बात को दूसरे को समझाने के लिए, या फिर दूसरे की बात को समझने के लिए। तो वी आर गोइंग अ लिटिल बिट मोर स्पेसिफिक नाउ। तो
दैट वन नीड्स टू लर्न बेसिकली। अगर उनको ये पता चल रहा है कि सामने मतलब व्हाट द अदर पर्सन वांट्स, तो दे शुड आई मीन वर्क अपॉन
करेक्ट,
देमसेल्व्स टू डिलीवर।
करेक्ट। सो अगर हम हर चीज़ को इसी पे कंक्लूड करेंगे कि इट्स अबाउट लैक ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग, इट अबाउट लैक ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन, तो वो सही कंक्लूजन नहीं है। क्योंकि इट इज़ नॉट दैट, इट इज़ द फैक्ट दैट समटाइम्स वी आर नॉट एबल टू एक्सप्रेस इट। तो हमको और भी कुछ सीखने की ज़रूरत है। तो इट्स
मुझे
नॉट
वो कम्युनिकेशन और अंडरस्टैंडिंग भी इसलिए मे बी वो डिफरेंस भी मे बी लैक ऑफ लव एंड एम्पैथी, ये दोनों चीजें भी इम्पोर्टेंट है इक्वली आई गेस।
हाँ हाँ हाँ, पर वंस अगेन देखिए, जैसे आज हम जो एग्जाम्पल, आज विकेश ने ही ये बात स्टार्ट की ना, तो इसमें आपको कहाँ लैक ऑफ लव या एम्पैथी दिखा? तो इट इज सो ही इज सो, अब वी कांट ऐसे, मतलब वी आर नॉट टॉकिंग हाइपोथेटिकल राइट ना, हम तो विकेश के ही केस को आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं ना बात करते हुए। तो इसमें तो मुझे कहीं पे लैक ऑफ एम्पैथी या लव नहीं दिखा। इसमें तो साफ साफ कम्युनिकेशन भी हो रही है। द वाइफ इज टेलिंग हिम ऑल्सो व्हाट शी वांट्स एंड ऑल दैट। और ही इज ऑल्सो, ही अगर ये लव और एम्पैथी लैक होता तो वो इस फोरम में थोड़ी हमारे साथ ये शेयर करता है
सो
यहाँ पे।
सो व्हाट ही शुड डू नेक्स्ट, आई गेस कि मतलब इनको उनके साथ बैठ के बात करनी चाहिए, मतलब हाउ डू ही फील और थिंक्स अबाउट दिस थिंग,
करेक्ट। सो वो
then she might understand it well, yeah.
हाँ, तो दैट इज वेयर वी आर गोइंग कि द नेक्स्ट स्टेप समटाइम्स इज नॉट ओनली जस्ट द पर्सन नोज कि मुझे बात तो करनी है, लेकिन बात करनी क्या है, कैसे करनी है, तो कई बार वो भी मिसिंग होता है ना। तो हम उसी चीज़ के ऊपर आज बात कर रहे हैं। दैट इज़ वाई आई आस्क्ड नामिका स्पेसिफिकली टू ब्रिंग अप दिस टॉपिक ऑफ 5 लव लैंग्वेजेस, क्योंकि बात करनी है, बात करनी चाहिए, वो उसको भी समझ में आ रहा है, लेकिन उसको ये नहीं समझ में आ रहा मैं करूँ क्या बात, व्हाट इज़ इट दैट आई डू। तभी तो उसने ये क्वेश्चन फोरम में रखा ना यहाँ पे। तो it's what I say is that हम सब लोग इतने एज पे तो हैं कि हमें ये सब समझ में आता है कि ये सब है, लेकिन कई बार ना इट्स नॉट, वी कांट जस्ट कंक्लूड कि कम्युनिकेशन करना चाहिए। समटाइम्स इट्स अबाउट करना क्या है। तो वहाँ पे हम घूम जाते हैं। नहीं तो हम इसको बस एक वो मोटिवेशनल ही बना के रखेंगे ना, अगर कि ऐसा करना है, तो लोग कंफ्यूज हो जाते हैं कि अभी उसकी कंफ्यूजन ये नहीं है कि वो कम्युनिकेशन कर नहीं सकता है या करना नहीं
कर,
चाहता।
कर,
ये
करना
समझ में
क्या
नहीं
है
आता
पता है,
कि
कैसे करना है, ये प्रॉब्लम।
कैसे करना है वो
Exactly.
I know how to,
Exactly.
what is it?
He is very clear that
पता तो है कि
he
क्या
wants
करना
to
होता है
communicate.
कि मैं नहीं
आई वुड से उनसे ही पूछ लो, वो बेटर गाइड कर देंगे आपको.
Sorry.
नहीं, and I'm very sure विकेश try भी कर रहे होंगे communicate करने का, and because as far as we have spoken to विकेश till now in the call, I'm sure कि वो कोशिश अपने end से कर रहे हैं. बस ये है कि he doesn't know that how exactly do I do it, because I am trying my best, but the thing is that possibly Vikesh is trying his best, but he's trying in a wrong way. So that is what it is. Like, how do we do it in the right way that it is effective and it you know.
कर रहा है, उसको जितना आता है उतना ट्राई कर रहा है, तो ही इज ट्राइंग हार्ड. ऐसा भी नहीं है कि ही डजंट वांट टू डू इट, या अगर वो बिल्कुल क्लोज होता तो यहाँ पे क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछता. अगर वो कुछ नहीं करना होता तो ही वुड जस्ट बी सिटिंग क्वाइटली ओवर हियर. तो ही वांट्स टू डू इट, ही वांट्स टू कम्युनिकेट, ही वांट्स टू सॉल्व दिस प्रॉब्लम, ही वांट्स टू, पर ही स्टक कि करना क्या है. तो I think this is where we are going specific in this conversation. One or two levels more specific.
Yeah.
हाँ, बोलो दिकेश.
नहीं, मैं जैसे करता, अब जैसे भी मैं कॉल करूंगा तो मैं ये पूछूंगा क्या रहा दिन, क्या रहा, सब रहा, ठीक रहा, वो क्या घर पे ठीक है, ये ठीक है, वो ठीक है, अब क्या करें, ठीक है, शाम हो गई, ठीक है. तो बोली ये सब कुछ तो सही है, सब कुछ सही चल रहा है, सबके बारे में पूछ लिया, मेरे बारे में पूछ लिया, बट वो चीज मिसिंग है. अब मैं बोलूंगा उस चीज को कैसे मैं क्या बोलूं, मैंने बहुत अच्छा मौसम है, हाँ आओ घूमो, क्या मिसिंग. मैंने अच्छा तुम बोल दो, मैं उस पर रेसिप्लिकेट करता हूँ. आप बोल दो, मैं उस पर रेसिप्लिकेट करता हूँ. वो बोले कि कोई और बोलेगा तो तुम बहुत कुछ करोगे. मैंने ये तो नेचुरल है यार, कोई और बोलेगा तो मैं पता नहीं क्या करूंगा. अब ये आई एम no words to say. I'm really done. Sorry. I'm really sorry for this.
आपकी बात बिल्कुल सही है विकेश, और हम पहले योगिता से बात कर रहे थे तो मैं उसको भी यही पॉइंट हाईलाइट करने की कोशिश कर रहा था कि कभी कभी ना ये ऐसे DIY में हम ना घुस जाते हैं कि हर चीज़ खुद से सॉल्व करनी है, हर चीज़ खुद से पता लगानी है, और हम घूमते रह जाते हैं इन सब चीज़ों में. जबकि आंसर बड़ा ही सिंपल सा होता है कि जिन लोगों को पता है क्या करना है, जिन लोगों ने ये 50 बार 1000 बार किया है, just ask them. So get the direction and then you can do your effort in that direction. तो हम अपना कि मैं हर चीज़ में वो मोड में चले जाते हैं ना, तो उसमें फिर घूम जाते हैं कि क्या है. जबकि लाइक दैट इज़ वाई आई आस्क्ड अनामिका स्पेसिफिकली. उसने उसने बात की, लेकिन मुझे भी उसकी पूरी बात में मज़ा नहीं आया. मुझे लगा कि अभी भी वो आंसर पूरा नहीं हुआ है, इसलिए मैंने उसको बोला थोड़ा और बताओ, क्योंकि ये मुझे लगा कि अभी इसने पूरी तरह से इसे कवर नहीं किया था. यू नीडेड दैट लैंग्वेज, यू नीडेड टू अंडरस्टैंड कि ये 5 तरह की लैंग्वेजेस होती हैं. अब आप चाहो तो थोड़ा और पढ़ सकते हो इसके बारे में, थोड़ा और जान सकते हो इन चीज़ों के बारे में. अब आपको एक पॉइंटर मिल गया. हमने आपकी सारी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं की है यहाँ पे, इतना टाइम
नहीं बिल्कुल
मिल गई है, डायरेक्शन मिल गई है कि आपको ये पता लगा दिया कि इधर देखो, इस डायरेक्शन में देखो. अब आप ढूंढो इसमें, और ज़्यादा पढ़ो इसके बारे में, और ज़्यादा एक्सप्लोर करो इसके बारे में, तो आपको समझ में आएगा कि क्या मिस कर रहे थे, कि कहाँ पे है. जब आपको ये समझ नहीं आता कि बात क्या करूँ, कैसे करूँ, कि क्या करनी है, तो इसके बारे में पढ़ोगे और ज़्यादा इन्फॉर्मेशन मिलेगी. ग्रुप में आप हो, हमारे ग्रुप में और क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हो. अब कॉन्वर्सेशन तो अभी 1 घंटे की है तो अभी जाएगी, बट इसके आगे आपको अगर और क्वेश्चन पूछने हैं तो ग्रुप में आप पूछ सकते हो इसके बारे में कि क्या है. तो अब आपको एक डायरेक्शन मिल गई है. इस डायरेक्शन में आपको आगे बढ़ने के लिए क्या करना है वो तो आपके ऊपर है ना, क्योंकि हाउ मच एफर्ट्स यू वांट टू डू. बट एटलीस्ट हमारी तरफ से हमने आपको एक पॉइंटर दिखा दिया है कि ये चीज़ मिसिंग है, ये चीज़ लैकिंग है, इसके ऊपर ध्यान दो, यहाँ देखो. तो अपस्किल योरसेल्फ इन दैट एरिया. तो फिर आपके पास बात करने का, कम्युनिकेट करने का तरीका होगा, क्या करना है वो समझ आएगा आपको.
Sure. Thanks a lot. Thanks.
Thanks for bringing that up as well. So that was good example also. I think was very clear for
I
the
guess
call.
I mean Vikesh, thank you. Even I would like to thank you, because in every call you bring up like your genuine personal things up, and you speak it out loud, like
नहीं
very
नहीं
clearly, and that is something I really appreciate.
thank you, thank you. But
Yeah. Not
I
a lot
generalize
of
that
people, not
many
everybody
of
is
the
able
people
to
are
do
facing
that,
the same thing.
Ritkesh. Yes.
Thanks, thank you.
Many people do face the same thing, and what we are appreciating is that um, you bring it up as well. That you are not afraid to talk about it in an open forum as well. So this is what I like, that you bring it up and then give us that chance to talk about it.
Yeah. Vidya, Jaspreet, Thirumalai, Naveen, Hema, anything to add, guys?
Himanshu, you just wrote something you want to say, so just you can talk if you want to just say it out.
No, guys. I
No, like
think you spoke very well. I think you articulated very well. Yeah, good.
Great.
I have one final question. How does this
Sure.
love language is different from a normal marriage and a toxic marriage?
Hema, see, there are two, let's categorize it into two different categories, like healthy relationships and unhealthy relationships. So we can always also call it like healed and healthy space, and the another one is toxic or, like very difficult space for people to be in. That is why when I mentioned about love languages, I very specifically said that this is a good beginning point, okay, because it's a good point where you can start to build your relationship, and at least, like you use the word understanding. Okay, so this is exactly the course which will lead you to understand your partner. But when it comes to toxic relationships, now toxicity is a wide variety of things, like, and the biggest problem with, see, difficulties are there in all the relationships, that is fine, but when it comes to like extremely toxic relationships, they go in a like very different space. Okay, so understanding se to wo bahut, it's far away from understanding and all that, because there's a lot of manipulation, a lot of gaslighting. Maybe one of the partners is a narcissist, or maybe that there's no love, or there's no empathy, but they're just struggling, and they're just there's a lot of segmentation which can go on into what a toxic relationship could look like. So that is a different thing. That is why this is the beginning step. When you talk about understanding your partner, you can try this out, okay, and you can just see. But when it comes to toxicity, that is a completely different, wide variety of story. It is a very deep thing which needs to looked into, because it can be like myriads of things, variety of things which toxicity can be. So we keep talking about those things, and we'll bring some of these topics also, which are widely discussed. But this is more about understanding and developing that intimacy. But if it is toxic, I don't think this is what can work. But if you think it is already in a okay space and things can work out and you can make things work, then this is good. This can work. Wherever you are, you can try this. But if you categorize something as toxic, then definitely there are, deeper measures which needs to be looked into.
Yeah, you mentioned narcissism, right? So I'm just wondering, like, if one person is narcissistic, do you think, like, that relationship is worth even, like, applying all these rules, like, love languages, or because the
Yeah,
other person
exactly.
simply is ignoring it completely, like, love language, that's not a big deal. So what? Why should I read about it or
So,
whatever?
oh,
So
okay.
I'm not
So
able to.
basically, we will also talk about narcissism, gaslighting, manipulation, and all. We will discuss. But in case you want to read about it, you want to know about it, I can share some of the links on WhatsApp with you. So just for the awareness sake, at least you can watch or read about that.
Yes, I've been watching videos on it already.
Yeah.
I'll ask one thing on this topic, what you just asked, Hema. So, is this person narcissist with you or they are narcissist with others? Now, before you answer the question, I ask you that you went in a relationship. Were they narcissist from day one? And you knowing that this person is narcissist, you went in relationship? Was there no love? And if there was love, then what has changed? So focus on the change. Focus not on the narcissist part of a person. Label them that way and start to see them. So was this person narcissist from day one? If you are saying yes, then that brings me back to the point what we were discussing with Yogita, that you came in this relationship with wounds that were not healed and you attracted this, and that brings us to the point that why this is so important that we first heal ourselves before we go into a relationship, because then the cycle will never finish. But if you went in this relationship and you went in this relationship with love, and that person